Hey, it's Ken Lewis for Mixing Night. I've gone full ninja style during the quarantine to show you how to get your 808s to cut through on small speakers. Did you ever get that perfect 808 with that huge low end that rumbled the room until you put it onto your phone or your earbuds or your laptop speakers and all of a sudden the 808 completely disappeared? Well, I'm going to show you two different ways to make that 808 cut through on those smaller speakers so you don't lose the vibe of the song that you're going for. Okay, method one, saturation. The way I was taught how to manage low end was to make sure that, yes, you have the weight of the instrument on the low frequency like a bass guitar or a kick drum, but envision what you hear with a kick drum, what your eardrum identifies on small speakers is the snap of the kick drum, that mid-range click of it. Same with a bass guitar, same with an 808. If you want to hear that 808 on small speakers, like, you've probably listened on your phone to an 808 and it's completely disappeared. Well, using saturation can add those harmonics into your 808 tone to bring kind of notes or overtones of your 808 into the mid-range for your ear to pick up on small speakers. Let me show you how with the Decapitator. So sometimes it's a balance between how much distortion you push into it to get it to kind of fuzz up, but sometimes the right balance of fuzz gives you a little bit too much of that crunchy top distortion. And here what I did with the Decapitator is I shaved off with the high cut on a steep curve, high cut, down to it looks like maybe about 1.5 or 2K. So that I still get some of that nice mid-range to allow it to cut on smaller speakers, but it's not so bright that it's really interfering with the vocal and everything else in the mix. But this is a pretty severe distorted 808 to begin with. I mean, I wouldn't change an 808 that I loved into this as a mix engineer, but if, as a producer, I'm going for something really heavy and distorted like Kanye style or something like this, it might be the Decapitator. But usually, if I'm making 808s sit in small speakers with the Decapitator, I'm setting a more conservative level, or I'm distorting like this, and then I'm using the wet-dry balance on the mix. So it's kind of like paralleling the distortion on the 808. So let me crank up the distortion on the 808, and then I'll parallel it back, and you can really hear when you blend heavy distortion with your clean 808, what that sounds like. So you get a lot of that heavy 808 that you love that you lose when you distort it too much, because the more you saturate it, the less low end you have. You get all that nice mid-range, but you lose your heavy low end. So using the mix wet dry knob to parallel it and add back some of the dry will give you back some of the weight of your original 808 while giving you the cut that you're going to need in those small speakers. And let's put it back into the mix and see how it feels.
Turn up on everything after I eat my turnip greens. I can't stop jigging, moving like I'm on a beam. 32 slim fit jeans.
Sounds plenty heavy to me. Method two, limiting. It might seem kind of counterintuitive, but if you put a fast attack, fast release limiter on an 808, all of a sudden you get this buzzy tone that comes out of it. You can take a really, really subby 808 and make it resonate in small speakers very quickly. But you got to be really careful because this is going to really change the sound of your 808 quickly. So figure out just how much you want to add and whether or not you need it at all. Here's my 808 with nothing on it. So there's two things that I want you to hear. One, it hits and dies really quickly, and two, it's very subby with not much mid-range. So the L2 is going to be a super fast attack, zero attack time, nothing is faster, nothing's getting through that, but I've got a really slow release on it. So I'm going to start with a super fast attack, very slow 1,000 millisecond release. And then I'm going to show you as the release time gets faster and faster and faster, there's going to be more and more of a tone that comes into the 808, which is going to allow it to sit in those small speakers and be identified by your ear. That mid-range is going to be what your ear picks up on for the note on the phone, on your earbuds, on your laptop speakers. So let's see what that sounds like. See, even at 100 millisecond release time with a 0 attack time, you're starting to get more of a mid-range note. And as I go from 100 to 0 release, you're going to hear that note get really buzzy and really pronounced. And then it can try and release so fast that it gets kind of distorted and janky at this point. I think with this particular 808, the super fast attack 0 release is just a little bit too much. So I would look for that happy medium where it backs off a little bit, gives me enough resonance that it's going to sit in small speakers, but not so much that I'm really changing the overall tone and shape of the 808. And then if I lose too much of the low weight of the 808, because you're going to lose a little bit of the weight of your 808, you can always put it right back with an equalizer or a sub-enhancer, sub-processor, something like that. So listen to the difference in range one more time between 0 attack and, say, about 40, 50 milliseconds. So you can soften it up and really decide just exactly how much of that little bit of buzz you want your ear to pick up on those small speakers. Okay, so I've given you 2 great ways to get your 808s to cut through on those small speakers. Drop a message for me in the comments section and let me know what saturator you guys use on the 808s. 2 of my favorites would probably be Decapitator and maybe FabFilter Saturn, but there's probably 7 or 8 of them that I use. And you know, on a more serious note, it's May 2020 when I'm shooting this video right now. And I don't know when you are watching it, but thanks for tuning in. Right now, I'm in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic in New York City. We are crossing 100,000 deaths in America probably today. And you know, I'm kind of ninja'd up for this. I'm taking things a little bit lightly, but it's a pretty serious time in America right now. So I hope you're safe, and I'll see you on the next video. This has been Ken Lewis for Mixing Night. Take care.
I'm going live.